I'll try again
It's
around
okay,
there.
Mike. Just wing it.
Oh, okay, we're live. We're live. Okay, sorry. I didn't. Sorry about that.
As you guys could tell, this is a very highly polished outfit.
Band of misfits. I think this week we're all going to be a little band of misfits with our comments
It's
towards
all
our
right.
teams, the league, the referees association. So let's get to it. A lot to unpack this week. Where do you guys want to start? Because we can start anywhere.
I would start with the Saturday morning game, I guess. So your rant.
My rant's going to be a
Let's
little bit
hear it.
different than it. It's so funny that how another team's result can just change your mood or change the outcome of, if I spoke on Saturday, it would be completely different than how I'm speaking now. That's for
Tell me
sure.
about it.
So we could maybe move on to Milan after, but there were I could say there were scandals in that game, in the Inter game. I don't want it to be the excuse,
There was
and
one.
yeah, and the referee association, they came out and said it, that there was a penalty at the end of the day, right? The
Like
Frattesi.
Roma last week. Thank you. Thanks for
It
nothing.
100%, 100%. Um, and it's crazy that we keep on talking about this every week, but I don't want to make it about that because Inter have not been good for a few weeks now. They've been out of form. Honestly, since Lautaro went down, we've looked leaderless. If I don't know if you guys would agree with that, but we're not looking too great. They're playing like every spring we have. So last year, spring, same thing. We got this drop of form. We only did well in the Champions League, played our hearts out over there. We looked tired. And again, we're looking tired. We talked about Turam, how he looked tired. He looked completely awful and off of it. Um, even we had some injuries, Chalanoglu not there. But at the end of the day, the onus is on the players and the coach. Last month I spoke highly of Kivu, but I think this string of games he's showing his um, inability or lack thereof, or just being a junior coach in the league. Right, he's showing that right now. Um, and that's not great. And we have to think about the future. We have to think about, look, Inter's going to win most probably now, especially after that Milan result. We could have been a whole different conversation if Milan had actually won. And kudos to Lazio, always helping us out every year. There's the Lazio. It's like I don't know what it is with Inter, but they're always helping us out. But again, Inter have been not great. We haven't beat the big team. We beat all the small teams, and I think it's just reflective of how bad everyone is in Serie A this year. And we could talk about that later. Every look, this might be the most uninspiring team to win Serie A. They're not the best. Like we went on a little run. It was an exciting year because I think all the teams were not amazing. But if we look at it like over the last few years, I think this has to be one of the worst teams to win Serie A if Inter wins. Again, overall, if you look at year over year teams that won, it has to be one of the worst in the last few years.
I don't know if I agree with that because I mean I think you hit the nail on the head where they're beating all the small teams and they're struggling against the bigger teams, or let's say the top seven teams in Serie A, because I'm counting Atalanta there. And I think that shows just that's really just a side effect of the inexperience of Kivu, because he's great at unlocking these small teams, at letting Inter play a free flowing football, and then once you match up against these teams that are bigger, that can attack you, that play man to man marking instead of just sitting back and giving space, and you can't rely on the quality of the individual players, then you see Inter struggling a bit. And I think that's on Kivu and Kivu's inexperience, not the end of like it's growing pains, right? They took a coach who's
Definitely.
has very little experience, and it's only normal that there's going to be growing pains, especially as he comes up against coaches like Allegri, I mean, even Palladino has much more experience than he does, and it's
And he got it right. Palladino got like his game plan right, quote unquote. You know what I mean? They
yes,
absorb pressure.
yeah.
They
They didn't look great in the first half there, but I mean, there was a big difference when Sulemana came in. Huge difference. I'm just gonna touch on that foul on Dumfries, which I think you'd agree is not a foul because you didn't really bring it up. And I don't know if you agree on that.
I, like I said, I don't want to make this about the refs because
No,
it's
no,
more than the
that's
refs,
fair.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
and we talk about the refs all the time, but I brought it up last week that they're clearly changing the way they call it fouls, especially the ones on defenders, where a defender might just put his body in the way and look for the contact. And I think that was like a perfect example. And I was so ready to like come in this week and be like, I just got to give props to the referee because that was a great call. But he messed it up like like 20 minutes. How long
20
ago
seconds.
after 20
Yeah, not
seconds?
even
It
20
was like
minutes.
this.
Yeah,
Wasn't
on that penalty call because that was a penalty. I'll admit it. Even though screw Inter, but I appreciated the call on Dumfries because it was clear that the push was not enough to send him down, and he was looking for contact. So I'll give props over there. But Inter did not look great. You said it yourself. Like Thuram doesn't look special. Dumfries makes a huge difference when attacking, but like I guess he didn't get the memo that he had to stay on his feet for a bit for slight contacts, and he was definitely to blame on that goal. I
yeah,
think personally,
he went up. No,
because
but
yeah,
if you look back on the
yeah, he
goal,
kicks back.
but not just that. If you look even maybe 10 seconds before that, everyone was ball watching.
Yeah,
No one was running. Like they were just walking slowly. I think De Vrij looks De Vrij is a Vecchiarella. I don't know what he's doing on the pitch, to be
Yeah,
honest.
he's 200 years old.
And you see him, he's not moving. Again, the mind is there, but sometimes the body is not. And again,
yeah,
Inter, the last few years, even under Inzaghi before that, they've had these mental lapses. And again, it continues. This team just has mental lapses, and they're continuing to have mental lapses. But again, I'm going to ask you guys this question. You think this, if Inter will win, you think that this is maybe, if you look at the team overall and the way they played over the last few years, is this one of the worst teams to win the championship?
It's tough to say. I wouldn't say it's one of the worst teams. I think right now what Inter's suffering from is, I think you touched on it briefly when you started speaking, the lack of Lautaro. I think Thuram has had a pretty substandard year, and I suppose it was probably been a bright spot for Inter and for Italy, but he's not, in Italian they say non fa reparto, like he can't make an attack on his own yet. I think with time, with experience, maybe Thuram is someone who could lead the line on his own when he's on form, but he hasn't been. Esposito and Boni are not going to drive the attack on their own. And I think that's what's missing over the past couple of weeks. Where are the 4 or 5 goal games that we got from Inter over the past couple of weeks? I think injuries play a role. And it seems like this year, almost every team can complain about injuries. But I think that definitely they have their part in Inter. Look, the season's long, over 38 weeks. The team who wins it rarely didn't deserve to win it. You know what I mean? It's not the Super Bowl where it's a one-off
100%.
and you say, So props where they're due. It's not a powerhouse of a team. Although, if you even go back just a couple of episodes here, we were calling it the Inter wagon, the Inter train.
Yeah, but
a couple of weeks
again,
later, it's like, oh, they're no good.
it's
not
tactics.
that they're no
It's
good.
just
I'm not saying they're no good.
No, but
They're
I
the
mean,
best
they're
team.
not.
They're the best team in
Yeah.
this league. So I'm not gonna let's call a spade a spade. Right now, they're the best team in the league. But if you look over the last few years, I'm saying the champions of that won the Scudetto, even if you go back 5 years, the last 5 years we had 5 different winners, whatever. They're not the strongest as a team together. They're just not. Again, Napoli got struck by. They could have easily maybe overtaken this team if they
challenged. Yeah,
challenged. You know what I mean? and
I think
there was no race, there was no pressure either, right? We were winning game after game. There was no pressure. Milan, you think they're going to put pressure, they can't. Even now, again, you think they're going to put pressure, they can't, right? So um, they didn't really have to deal with that pressure, and where they had to deal with that pressure is in the Champions League, and they completely failed, right? So you
Yeah.
see, when they're working under pressure, they're not doing well. Again, going back to the league, this year hasn't been the best, right? It's been entertaining, and I love this season. This year has been one of the more entertaining seasons of the ups and downs, and don't know who's going to beat who. It's fun to watch on a weekly basis, but when you're looking overall, the league Serie A, I don't think it was. I think there was a huge dip in quality this year.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea for a summer episode. The last decade of Scudetto winners, ranking them by strength. I think that's something interesting to look at.
Could do a
Yeah,
top 10 if you want.
yeah.
We'd have to stop in a period and not talk about Juve for a while, but but yeah, let's move on to the maybe the chokers, the biggest chokers of the weekend, to the Milan. Hate to put you on the spot, Remo, but I think they royally screwed up. Kudos to Sarri, had a fantastic game. Lazio played the game of their life, honestly, but
Literally,
I think
best game of their season, right? Go
Yeah,
I
ahead.
think, and far from it for me to compliment Lazio and Lazio fans, but I think the return of Lazio fans to the stadium was huge. If you're writing a Disney movie, there's no chance Lazio loses this game. It's in service of the plot. They had to come out and win this game in front of their fans with the tifo and the chanting for 90 minutes, and I think it's a hostile environment, and yeah, just props to the Lazio fans for riding that energy, and the Lazio team for riding the energy of the fans.
Last week, I said, let's not let one goal cloud our judgment of a player and what he's done all season.
100%.
And what did he do this week?
Horror show.
Estupinian is easily like the biggest flop of. Well, you know what? Him and Fulkrug can compete with who's a bigger flop. But Estupinian, wow, like 1-on-1 with Isaacson, and you get pushed off the ball that easily. Like already the fact that he's 1-on-1, and I think that's where Sadi kind of outmaneuvered Allegri. Allegri hates the 1-on-1s, right? He doesn't want his players to go 1-on-1. He wants coverage. He wants a low block. And I'll give props, whereas at the beginning of the game or the game started and Milan, I mean, they were on the front foot for most of the game. They tried to control the play. They tried to set up outside the box, make passes, try to infiltrate slowly. Hard to do that when your striker doesn't move that well. Hard to do that when your striker complains that he's not getting a pass because he made 2 runs the entire game and didn't get serviced. This game is probably a turning point in Milan season for the negative, I think, because that little spat that Leao did walking off, that's going to have huge repercussions in the dressing room. And apparently it continued on in the dressing room. And I'm going to go on a little rant here because you're a professional player, okay? Like the meme, you make millions. You live in a fancy house. you drive a fancy car. No, but you're allowed to be upset to be subbed off because you feel like you could give more, maybe. Okay. Now, the coach and everyone in the world saw it otherwise, where they saw you have 18 touches the entire game. Most of them outside the box. They saw you lazily walk around the field, make 2 runs. When you didn't get that ball, you complained. And then, not only that, you're allowed to be upset for the change, but your team's down 1-0. And you're walking off the field because you're acting like a fucking baby. Like,
But he is a baby.
it's
Let's be
crazy.
honest.
It's
That's
actually.
his character.
He's not acting. That's
But it's
it's based on a true
are
story.
we serious? But are we serious right now? Like, how do you look at yourself and you go, yeah? And then Allegri doing something that I've never seen Allegri really do. He hugs him to kind of like tell him like, hey, calm down. Like, it's okay. Next game's gonna be yours. Whatever the hell he said in that moment, and you push your coach off you. Like, we're not in CSRDP AA over here. That
Not even. This is Total Campo stuff. It's not even
Total
that.
Campo. Like, like an adult league, a Sunday league. This is you're on the world stage. You're considered one of the leaders, quote unquote, because I don't think he's a leader, and the past couple years have proven that he's not a leader of your team, and you act like that. Now, I've ripped on him for the past couple weeks because I was a big Leao supporter, even when he had a rough game or whatever in the past couple years, because he gave a lot to the team. He's a very talented player. But look in the mirror and see that you're not giving what you could for your team. You're playing like garbage. You're a ghost on the field. And if a coach has to take someone out to give a bit of a spark, he's going to take you out. He's not going to take Pulisic out. Even if Pulisic didn't give you that pass, at least Pulisic is getting the ball, coming deep, making runs, trying to be proactive. That's my rant on Leao. Because I think at this point, no one's going to buy him. No, none of the big teams are going to buy him. We're lucky if maybe Galatasaray wants him. But I don't see a solution this summer to the Leao question unless he really gets his act together. And this is going to be on Allegri, on the management, on Ibra, to see how they could get the best out of this player, how they could repair whatever damage has been done this week. And then for the rest of the team, we'll see. Because you know what, the rest of the team, it was uninspired, but they didn't play as bad. Apart from that Estupinian mistake and Leao being lazy, so you don't have an outlet for a goal. Full crew came on, did nothing. I think he's a huge flop. I think signing a West Ham striker that had 0 goals, it was never going to work out. But Nkuku came on, looked good. Like, there are positives to take from this game. Lazio played very well. They found Nuno Tavares back. He had probably his best game of the season. And, I mean, what more can I say? I'm disappointed. Milan had the chance there, but they showed that they're definitely not ready to be contenders for the title, and that, you know what, Allegri wasn't lying when he said the goal is top 4, because he knows the weaknesses of his team.
How are they going to do it playing European matches next season also?
Oh,
right? This was their year. They're playing once a week. Allegri's here. You know what I mean?
Listen, I think right now Allegri's going to stabilize the team. This season. If you solidify second place, although it seems like they'll probably end third because they have a very tough schedule compared to Napoli. It's not super tough, but compared to Napoli, it's tough. Yeah. I think they'll probably finish third. You get into Champions League. You make some moves in the summer because you have to shake off this dead weight of whoever you sign in last summer, like Estupinian and whoever else. You could maybe make some money from sales like Fofana. You can make an easy 20 million, I think, from Fofana. You can make some money from Leao if he wants to leave. And then you got to make smart signings. You got to get depth in defense, and you got to get strikers that make great movement. Like watching this week's games, and I'll this will be a segue to Roma if you want, but watching that game and looking at the movement of Malin and Duvikas on the other side, and I'm looking at the movement of Leao, and I'm like, these two strikers move 10 times better. They're making runs at every chance that they can, and Leao doesn't do that. And it's like, if you're a team like Milan, you need a striker like a Malin or like even a Duvikas who.
But
I think. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, is this an Allegri thing? Or is
no,
you know what I mean? You're
no.
talking about two coaches that kind of give their strikers.
No, I don't know if it's an Allegri thing, but you know what? I think Allegri's system is so defensive minded that his strikers have the freedom to do what they want. And people, like, I've seen a lot of comments saying, "Oh, but he's not playing in his position." But last year he didn't do much either, and he was playing as a winger. I think it's a mentality thing. I think if you're the type of player with the skill that Leao has and the body that Leao has, because he's strong, he's tall, he's built like a striker. You could do it on the wing, you could do it down the middle. You just gotta move and be open and get into space. And I think he didn't do it last year on the wing, and he's not doing it this year down the middle. And even the year before that, I mean, with Pioli, those last couple of months, he didn't look good either, right? So I mean, at a certain point, you got to call a spade a spade. You got to say, it's not working out. Like a change of scenery might do good for both teams, for both parties.
I think you called it when you're playing sort of out of position. It's not a position that he's never played before. But if you're a winger playing, as a striker, it's just about. I think instead of running into the channels, he sort of has to find them from a standing position. And I feel like maybe a bit of the soccer IQ is missing, or maybe a bit of just the desire. Like you're saying, he's big. He doesn't play big.
No, at all.
He
At all.
doesn't shield the ball. He doesn't hold up play. He doesn't, yeah, I think it's just been disappointing all around for him this year. You touched on Roma.
I did.
It was an exciting game, at least. No, like it was a great game.
It was a great game for Como.
For neutral or for Como, yeah. Look,
for both.
We'll call a spade a spade. Roma didn't play well, and they haven't been playing well.
That's the theme of the week, by the way. Spades are spades.
Yeah.
If you go back to the game against Genoa and this week, I think the combined XG, and it's not a perfect stat XG, but it gives you an idea, is like 1.21, and that includes a penalty, which is worth 0.8, right? So they've created almost nothing. I feel like they're really missing a creative outlet behind Malin. This team looks very, very different when you have or Dybala or Sule playing behind Malin. But with the refs and the form that they're in, you could put Totti and Bruno Conte behind Malin, and it's going to be hard to win games. At this point, I feel like they're intentionally like baiting me with these refereeing decisions. And the VAR specifically, I don't even know where to go first. I prefaced it by saying that they didn't play well and they haven't been playing well, but the beauty of soccer and the negative side of soccer is that every week, teams that deserve to lose, draw. Teams that deserve to draw, win. Teams that deserve to win, draw, and teams that deserve to draw, lose. So it's not because you're not playing well that you don't deserve a well-officiated game. I feel like Diego Carlos should not be on the field at the moment that he scores that goal. Wesley should. In the first half, you had, who was it? Kempf. Let's call a spade, sexually assaulting Malin. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah. There was a red in La Liga for that exact thing.
But so you're telling me that in one game, there's missing 2 reds for Como, and there's an inexistent one for Roma, because that foul is your last man. And even if you wanna and haw, he gave away a penalty in the first half that is a stone. That's a stone cold yellow.
Yeah,
he goes nowhere near the ball, lunges out, makes his body huge. I don't. At the moment he scores the goal, not only should Como be in 10 and Roma at 11, he specifically shouldn't be on the field at that point. Again, I excuse nothing. Roma didn't play well. They probably don't deserve to win. And between us three and however many people are watching, I don't think going into the Champions League for this Roma would be a good idea anyways. I would have nightmares thinking that tomorrow we have to wake up and play Real Madrid or PSG. We'd get eaten alive. But I just want to watch a game for once that I don't have to have heartburn because of referees. At this point, it's 2 weeks on the trot, 6 points.
Okay, yes, it wasn't. It shouldn't have been a red for Wesley. 100%. That I think he got very hard done by. I think in real time it looked like it was his foul, and it looked like he did clip him.
Real time. A VAR.
No, I don't know. Well, you can't go to VAR.
You can't.
It's a second yellow.
You can, because it's the wrong player. The only person to make contact is Wrench. The VAR could intervene.
Are you sure about that?
Absolutely sure, because there's the what's the name? The guy on the zone. Is it
Marelli? Luca Marelli?
Marelli, and even the other one. What's his name with the long hair? Shit. If I find it, we'll try and repost it on the Sotto la Curva Instagram. The VAR can intervene in cases of mistaken identity.
Oh
and
wow.
the only person to put, and even at that, it would have been a very light foul.
Yeah,
Was
yeah. He
Was
he threw
Wrench?
himself. Yeah, he
It
threw
would have been
himself a
Wrench.
bit. But
You
I
know,
mean, like I could see where the initial error from the referee is, and I could see the yellow given in that instance. But like you said, if they could go to VAR and check for mistaken identity, I think the foul was more Wrench than Wesley. Because
if there
Wesley
was any,
does stick out his foot,
I,
but he doesn't make contact with that
I
foot.
just
Like he
confirmed.
goes for the ball
I googled it, and yeah, like
for mistaken identity.
yes, you can. The video system referee can intervene in
Wow.
cases of mistaken
Okay,
identity.
so
Lost the
then
game.
you have there is a full like reason to be upset, but I think you'd agree. Looking at it, it looked like Roma's worst game of the season. They looked bad.
They were horrible.
Yeah,
I think they set up for a rolled game where they were going to play defensive and try and hit on the counter,
not
but
even
with no
defensive.
creativity. But with
But
no
even
creativity,
that like that first
there's
goal, Hermoso doesn't come up with the line. Like it was a very like light, like they just a lot of lapses in judgment.
Hermoso was in no man's land. Like there's two frames that where you look and you're like, okay, Duvikas is very solidly covered, and then 1.5 seconds later, there's not a Roma player within
Yeah.
a kilometer of him. It was a poorly played offside trap, is what it was that led to the goal. Hermoso stepped up too early. Mancini played Duvikas onside, and but that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not talking about losing to Genoa. It's Genoa. I mean, you really should.
You
Even
should be
okay, that
winning
there's
that
missing a
game.
penalty. Como could happen? You could lose a game to Como. In 2026, even a top team could lose a game to Como. Like this, it burns.
Mm.
You know, I'm not saying we deserve to win, but at least let us play in
Can,
11.
can we also maybe like okay, Como's easily let's say the heel of Serie A right now. Like they're the
Basically,
Triple H of Serie A right now.
And they're not doing themselves any favors in the
No, no,
post
no,
match.
and oh no, Fabregas is you know how I feel about Fabregas, but
Dial,
what was it?
Did you see Dial on Instagram
Yeah,
today?
no, what did he do?
he pulled a Vergara.
He literally posted himself a picture of himself diving
Yeah, he said
with
that's
the
how we do it or
caption,
something like that.
"That's how we do it. That's how you do it."
Not the brightest tool in the shed.
And then Fabregas calling out Gasperini for
Yeah, for not handshaking.
it's unsportsmanlike. He didn't shake my hand. Excuse me, you have 11 peasants running around the field diving.
Yeah,
That's sportsmanlike, though.
but that's what I'm saying. They're easily like for someone who watches Serie A week in week out, they're a very hateable team. For the prem head that comes in and watches Serie A because I heard that Como was good. They'll watch and they'll be like, oh yeah, it's Fabregas. Like it's a good team. They play well. They did play well. We got to give them that.
They do play well.
They do play well, and
Like-
like even the tactics, the sub that he made at halftime, putting on Duvikas, because he started with no striker.
Correct.
Putting on Duvikas,
yeah.
yeah, that was it was a very good sub at the right time.
No, hold
And
on. So it's a good sub to undo your mistake.
Yes, well,
No,
they
I find
played well.
Guys,
they created before
They
that.
created a lot in the first half too.
How many chances did they have to score a Como at the beginning? Like Svilar kept them in the match. Like
Yes, he made a couple
first
beautiful
half, he
saves.
like let's be honest. Like at the end of the day,
I know it's tough, but like they like even Baturina had a very good game. Valle had a very good game.
Baturina had a great game, creatively speaking. He drove,
he
drove
the
the offense
tactics work.
forward.
let's not.
Paz still struggling a bit, I think. Like he
struggling.
Yeah,
Ah.
but even despite that, I mean he's struggling. Like he had a chance, he had a couple chances to score. But
He's struggling to
he's
score.
like
but
trying to put it on his left, the proper shot, and like he's overthinking things. You could tell he's like in that phase right now, which is fine. It's a growing pains. But the team itself moves well. They like have a very solid tactical structure. I find he's even more. Fabregas is maybe learning as time goes on, like to play a bit more cynical, hold the ball, not just always all out attack, verticals when like they need to do it. I personally, they looked like a very solid team, very good team. They look like they deserved to play in Champions League. But I also said it last week that there are some calls, even last week against Cagliari, they got some calls in their favor that were very questionable. And I'm just saying they have the richest owner.
You start flying the flag.
Yeah, I'm gonna put on my aluminum foil, my tinfoil hat over here. I don't know. There's a lot of things going their way that seem a bit sketchy.
Anyways, to me, they're playing. They might be the hipster team, but they're playing fantastic. Fabregas has been. Anyways, he's got his critiques from the managers, from the media, from everyone, and well deserved for a lot of things he's doing. But if you watch that game again, this is one of the games that I watched like very attentively because I have to pick and choose with my daughter. It was, I think, in the first half, I think maybe half the team touched the ball.
Yeah.
In the half, in the box, in the goaler's box, in the Spieler's box, I had players that. The commentator was saying names. I'm like, well, what is he doing in the box? Why is he taking a shot? Why is he there in the box? Then he has them moving around. It kind of reminds me of Inzaghi a little bit, right? One player steps up, the other player is covering back.
Yeah.
Very fluid. That it's so seamless, right? And when they're moving, and it's beautiful to watch. It's beautiful, and when the team's understanding it also.
Yeah, even those vertical balls of those vertical balls are very Inzaghi-esque. Like the. Just the
vertical
run,
balls you guys have.
Listen, I'm not a Fabregas as a manager. He's very antipatico, very he grinds gears. But credit where credit is due. They play well. They have a clear identity, and I mean they're entertaining to watch up when they're not playing against your team because they are very frustrating to play against and they're annoying.
Even when they are, I mean. In terms of attacking intent and in terms of entertainment factor, even when they are playing against your team, they're a team who plays well. I think Fabregas is a good manager.
Yeah, they're just annoying.
But to open a can of worms again, when we went back and forth for a while about the Inter Juve game where Juve directors were complaining about the foul and so on. For me, it doesn't, and I have no problem with Furbizia. That's part of the game. I wish the system we had in place to counteract that worked the way it should. But I have no problem with a player drawing a foul or a player embellishing or a player really getting on the lines of what's allowed and what's not allowed. No, even that I don't have a problem with. But what I'm saying is to then come out and act holier than, that's the part that
it's that.
So in the moment when it was Juve and Inter, I said Juve got screwed. That was not a red card. It's the morale after the fact that who are you to give morals on refereeing mistakes? This is the same situation with Fabregas and with Como. You're talking about unsportsmanlike, and if you go back and watch that game from A to Z, not in the moment, but rewatch it, that Diao dive was one of that I can count even quickly now without needing to go back 4, 5 easily. And then people say, "Oh, Como's a good advertisement for Serie A."
They're not.
If I'm watching this game as a neutral, what kind of advertisement is this? These guys are all over the floor.
Advertisement for Serie A right now. That's the problem. That's the issue.
But then I'd rather we say that than give credit where it's undue.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Again, I think back to the summer where Inter was trying to get Fabregas, but I want him over Kivu. I would have taken him in a heartbeat.
Yeah, 100%.
Imagine him again. The man aside, imagine him with just more quality of the players. The players have fantastic quality, but they're all young. You have to understand that all the young players.
There's no guarantee that works, though.
Yeah, but also let's not act like Gasperini is an angel either. He has a history of being a bit of a shit disturber.
Exactly, with his players and the
and with opposing teams. I remember the little dance he did when they beat Milan with Atalanta. There, he was doing a little dance, a little jig on the field.
You're allowed to
Beat it.
celebrate a victory.
I'm just saying he likes
It's
to be a
it's
bit.
it's a different thing to celebrate a victory with your players and with your fans versus calling someone for being anti-sportivo when you spend 90 minutes diving,
I'm
right?
just saying Gasperini
And
is not an
and,
angel either.
and I don't like Gasperini. I never have, and I
As a
didn't want him
person,
at Roma. I would have much rather had Allegri when that was the voice to Roma over Gasperini. And um, I'll come out and say it. I believe that Gasperini has done more harm to Roma than good.
oh, that's a
I
big
think
statement.
That's a
I
big statement.
think I think that if you watch Roma in the first half of the season, where they gave up very few goals, they were playing Claudio Ranieri's system of last year.
Yes, 100%.
Very simple, very defensively responsible. They were cruising on autopilot from last year. After, I would say, the new year, we started seeing that high press. We started seeing those overlaps. We started seeing, and at first we praised them for it. Right about when we were starting this show, oh, we're starting to see the Gasperini football. We're starting to see the Gasperini, and the wheels fell off. You don't have the players for it. It doesn't work. And my comment before about Fabregas going to Inter, there's no guarantee that it would have worked. Let's not forget that Gasperini spent a year at Inter,
And it didn't work.
and it was disgusting
It was horrible.
because a certain level of player will be a good soldier, as Casano calls them, a soldatino, and do
Yeah.
exactly what the manager says. And a different level of player is going to do whatever the F he wants, and manager be damned, and the system falls apart. Gasperini is a system manager. Gasperini is a system manager. And when the team buys in, when he's bigger than the team, and Percassi made sure when he sold Papu Gomez that everybody knew that Gasperini was bigger than the team.
Yeah.
So you
You
have no
saw
choice.
that in multiple different ways. But you're going
You have
into a
no
team.
choice.
I was going to say you're going to an Inter team that has been playing a certain system, right? And their players used to playing that system. So I get it. You're absolutely right. We don't know, but they have role players on this team. They're not above it. Maybe Lautaro here and there, but the players on Inter, I don't see anybody that's really going to push against a system or not buy into a system when you had all these players that bought into a system in the last 4 years.
Yeah, I feel like Lautaro is the type of player that would buy into a system.
Yeah, absolutely. But every single player. That's why, again, Marotta goes and buy players for a system that are going to fit into a system. Again, that's why Inter has been successful, and that's where they continue to be successful, right?
Yeah,
again, year one for Gasperini, year one for Kivu. It's year one for so many coaches.
Yeah,
and so many
and
players.
that explains the lack of, let's say, quality in the league, where teams might be doing good one week and then off the next week. It's a lot of coaches finding their feet at new clubs. It's a lot of clubs, let's say, finding their feet in Serie A, like a Como, for example, or like even some players that, like, you look at Juve, for example, this week they won not too convincingly, though. Like it wasn't really in doubt for most of the game. But there are a lot of players on that team that, example David, example Openda, even Conceição, kind of, but that they're finding their feet in Serie A in a new type of soccer. They had to find their feet with one coach at the beginning of the year and a new coach halfway through the year. There's a lot of these storylines in the league where it's making for a more competitive league, but also very inconsistent performances by multiple teams. So, like, I mean, you look at Inter, look at Roma, look at Juve, look at Atalanta. It's growing pains, and hopefully, and I'm saying it for Roma in particular, they stick with Gasperini next year, and they build on this, and they're patient, because the problem with Roma in the past is that they were never patient. They had Luis Enrique on the books, and they didn't want him. No, but I'm just saying.
Enrique, not the Luis Enrique that you're seeing now, because
no, but
those games,
his ideas were there. He always had those ideas.
I think his ideas have been greatly refined, and his methods have been refined by working with the biggest teams in the world.
100%.
Luis Enrique was not a bad manager with Roma, but it wasn't Luis Enrique.
But I'm just saying, there's a lot of there's a lot of there's a lot of like rash decisions that are taken by Serie A managers or Serie A like presidents, and we're known
That
for
I'll
that
agree
for the
with.
drama. And sometimes it pays to be patient with a coach or with a system, and it pays to have players or sign players that buy into the system and the coach and build a team around a tactician rather than the name of the team in the end. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like we're not winning this year. You got to leave because it's not up to our standards. Well, if your standards for Roma, for example, is not making Champions League for the past God knows how many years, then
I don't think not making Champions League would qualify as an unsuccessful season for Roma.
100%,
To
100%.
be
I think if,
fair,
if if at the beginning of if at the beginning of this season or at the end of last season you said next year you'll be challenging for Champions League until the very end, would you take it?
but that's what we did last year. There's no growth.
Oh, well, last year, I mean, that
Last year we
second half of
lost
the
out on Champions
season,
League
yeah, but
by
that second half,
up until the 75th minute of the last game,
but
and
but
that
there's
and that
still
Juve
there's still
penalty.
there's still a
No, hold
big
on.
chance that you
You
make it.
lost it at the beginning of the season.
Yes,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? The season's long, right?
Which more reason to believe that if we just carry on with the status quo,
Yeah, but there was
we
never
should do
the
better.
but the opportunity
Now,
to carry on was never there because Ranieri was always a caretaker manager.
sure,
You think he would have done like just as well this year? Like
Ranieri, 100% no.
you think? No, I don't think so either.
I don't
think it
think
was
so.
just.
I think he's a very good motivator. He's very good at playing a simple soccer.
it's hard to say. I'm not saying that I'm throwing in the towel on the Gasperini project after 1 year, where, like you said, Remo, it's not like Roma's a team that's perennially in Champions League. My worry, and where I would question whether it made sense to continue on with Gasperini, is if we don't see any of Gasperini working out. Right? As of right now, the only impact I'm seeing of Gasperini Calcio is negative. He's being dogmatic in his system to the sense where you don't have the players to play the way you did at Atalanta. Right? Donny Mallon, bless his soul, is an offensive powerhouse. I'll give it to you. But where's your equivalent to Retegi? Where's your equivalent to where's your equivalent to Pasalic? Where's your equivalent to we're playing a
But that
Champions
falls
League
on
game. He's throwing out El Shaarawy to start.
but that falls on the management.
guy's
too,
older.
even the players.
The guy's older than me. Hold on. The transfer market is closed.
He's actually my age. He's born 92.
So it fell on management in the summer and it fell on management in January. Today, at the time that they played, it was March 15th. It's not on management anymore. It's on Gasperini to say, listen, this is what I have. This is, listen, you can't make chicken soup out of chicken shit. This is what you have. This is what you need to play with. Anyways, we've been going on for a long time on only 3 games, but there's a lot to say.
It's fine. Fine. There was a lot to say.
I feel like he needs, the idea is good. I think Gasperini's had a lot of success, and Roma is not a team leaps and bounds above Atalanta, right? I mean,
they haven't been for a while.
They have more money. That's the only thing.
Even at that, I'm not sure.
Yeah, Atalanta swoops in and buys a player for 30 million, no problem.
Hold on. The owners have more money.
The owners, yes, but the team itself.
Possibly,
the team itself. Yeah.
My only point is
not possibly. It's a sexual thing. I saw.
I think it would be it would be not disastrous. It would be unfortunate to let Gasperini go after 1 year, but I feel like we need to see something this year that shows us that he's having an effect.
Okay, I have a question, and I asked this last week. Do you go for Europa League?
You have to. At this point, you could forget. I would rather not play in Conference League, guys. The team is paper thin.
No, he means like, do you go for Europa League this year, like to
This
win
year,
Of
do you
Europa
course.
League,
win? Yeah. Okay.
to
Okay.
beat
Of
Bologna,
course.
and then
I would.
because
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you
I
make
would.
champions,
Great.
right?
I would let. You know what? If they give me the spot, I would give it back to them. Unless there's Friedkin is hiding a couple of racks in his pockets and he's ready to spend money and forget FFP. He's ready to spend the money on the player and pay off FIFA or UEFA. I don't see how this team even gets out of the group stage of like the league stage of Champions League. You need to go all in. And now, do you go for it? The game is Thursday. That decision had to be made before the Como game. At this point, everybody played against Como and they lost. If they would have rested Malin against Como and say, listen, we're going all in, we need to win on Thursday at Bologna, fine. At this point, you have to prioritize that, even if it's at the expense of losing the Europa League final and not playing in Europe next year. At this point, playing once a week, you can get an extra year with a thinner squad. What I'm worried about is that if we do qualify for Europa League or Champions League, and we go out and spend money and spend it wrong or not spend enough, then you can end up still going out in the league phase and sabotaging the early part of your season. So I think they have to be all in on the Europa League this year, even if it's at the detriment of playing in Europe at all next year. I think that's the intelligent way to go about it.
Yeah. Let's touch on some other results. So we know, like you said, we spent some time, but there was a lot of storylines within those games, and I think we had to spend some time around there. But Napoli get a win, 2-1 versus Lecce. Again, they're looking like they're starting to pick it up a little too late. Players are starting to come back. Politano's had a great game. But other than that, like again, not much to say about Napoli unless you guys want to say.
No, I mean, it sucks that their defensive record's not great. Still, they're still conceding goals, which is not a Conte style. But De Bruyne came back, played. Did he end up playing 90 minutes?
I don't think so.
No.
No, he came off. Either way, they didn't
Came on at the.
Oh yes, he did come on. Okay,
Yeah, he came on after.
but he played very well. A lot of very interesting passes. McTominay came on as well. So those are big boosts for them, and I mean, looks like they might challenge for second place, and I think that's a very successful domestic season for them. And from what I heard, I read that Conte said he's staying for next year, which I mean, anything could change with De Laurentiis. Like, he's been quiet this year, but you never know. He's like a shark in the water. But that's very good for Napoli, very good for the league, and I think a couple adjustments and they're back next year as favorites for the Scudetto.
Juve 1-0 over Udinese. Again, not crazy convincing win. They played well. Goal called off as well. Boga seems to be their spark.
3 goals in 3 games.
3 goals in 3 games.
Who would have thought?
How many goals does David have?
I think he had 3 goals in 3 months.
Yeah, pretty much.
3 goals in. He probably also had 3 goals in 3 games, but then those were the only 3 goals.
In 3 months.
We'll see what Boga does, but yeah.
But yeah, overall, like I said, Juve they've like we could talk a little bit about coaching changes. We spoke a little bit about it before, but Spalletti has definitely changed his team, and it's been a great spark. And hopefully he stays on for next year as well. I think that's
he's adapted too, right? He adapted the team. He saw that none of his strikers were performing, and he adapted to it. They signed Boga, which I think is great for his system and for what he wants to do with it, and it's paying dividends. Just a quick touch, because there's that offside goal that they called. People were complaining about it. It's 100% offside. The ball's going right to his feet.
100%.
We all agree. Cool. People were complaining. I don't know why. People are like, "Oh no, but he's not in the goalie's vision yet. But he's in.
Doesn't matter.
Of the ball. He moves
in the play.
Yeah,
it's
like, it's for me. That's clear offside. But anyways, they scored. They were winning already. I think at that point that was a 2-0.
Yeah, still 1-0, exactly.
Yeah.
Would
So
have
that
liked
was
it
in the
because Yildiz had
like
another
the game.
assist. I was praying for that, but
for Fanta.
Fanta
But
Calcio.
no, I mean they're doing what they have to do. They're winning games that they have to win now, and if they could string a couple of performances like this, Champions League places are getting interesting now. This is the final stretch.
Yeah, maybe we could touch a little bit about that. So, Joe, you think Roma done for? No Champions League, not through the league.
No chance.
Are you just doing Malocchio?
No, at all. Because so even on their schedule, we mentioned that it wasn't a tough schedule to close out the year. But even against Genoa, they've shown that they create very little. I don't think Soule's return is around the corner. I don't think Dybala is going to play another game for Roma. Unfortunately, I think his time with Roma is done. Unless Venturino suddenly becomes the talisman for this offense, you're relying on Malin to do it alone with some Wesley. Wesley is the second creative spark for Roma. And because of that bullshit dive, he's missing next game as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no.
You have Tsimikas' beautiful free kicks.
Why is this guy taking free kicks for? They were chasing him out of Rome in January. They wanted to send him back to Liverpool, and Liverpool told us,
"No, we don't want him.
Don't play him. I don't care. I don't want to see his face. Hey, he's over here in the last minutes of the game. There's Pisilli standing there. There's Pellegrini standing there. There's Tsimikas. Looks like he came off the street. Anyways, but to say, right? I don't think through the league at this point we're we're only 3 points back. So stranger things have happened. I just don't see the trajectory that we're on bringing us into Champions League in the league. I could be wrong. But
let's go around the room. Who are your four right now? Looking at it, who are you guys calling? Remo. Look, actually, let's start with Joe. Joe was just talking. Who are your four? We know Inter for sure.
Inter, Milan, Napoli, Juve.
Okay. Remo?
You know what? I want to know Como's next games right now. They have Pisa, Udinese, Inter, Sassuolo, Genoa, Napoli, and then Hellas, Parma, and Cremonese. You know what? Right now, I think they're favorites for that fourth spot. Looking at their schedule, they could get maybe a tie against Inter, and they have Inter at home and Napoli at home. You know what?
Correct.
You know what? I would say Inter, Napoli second, Milan, and Como.
What do you think, Mike?
I think it's still going to be Inter, Napoli, Milan, and Juve. I do think that. I think the inexperience of Como might let them down. I'm hoping, and this is my dream. I really hope it's going to be. For some reason, I don't want Milan making Champions League. Okay.
For some reason, I wonder why.
No, not because.
What a mystery!
Don't make me laugh. It's late at night.
Join us next week to find out why.
My God. No, I'm thinking of just again the poor display we had this year in Europe. I just feel like Milan's gonna just let it down as well.
Hey man,
you understand what I'm saying? A team
we have Champions League in our DNA.
The only reason, Ram, that I'm sticking with Juve over Como for the last spot, and you had the tinfoil hat earlier in the episode, and I'll take it now. I told you guys this 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's 2 years on the trot. On the final match day of the season, in the last 25 minutes, 30 minutes of a game, against a team that has nothing to play for, Juve gets awarded a penalty and makes Champions League. This year, Juve, in the last game of the season, is going to be playing against Torino, who has nothing to play for, in a derby. If If Juve needs a little point for Champions League, Serie A will put Juve in Champions League. Period. I put it. I put it in audio. Now I'm putting it in video. Mark my words. If they're within striking distance of that Champions League spot, it's 2 years in a row a penalty in the 70th minute plus for Champions League.
Clip this, and we'll see. Let's
We'll see.
we'll
see.
play it for everyone to see. But
No,
listen,
obviously, if they're 5 points behind, no. But if they're right there,
like I said all that, and then the only team that came out was Atalanta this year, and they got steamrolled by Bayern Munich, like steamrolled. That
I
was
mean, who wouldn't get steamrolled by that team?
100%.
And
just to
especially
say-
if you're playing man-to-man marking and trying to attack, it's not going to work.
most of Serie A, I think, would have realistically, aside from honestly, probably Inter
Inter,
and I want to say
Okay.
Juve based on pedigree.
they got steamrolled by
But-
Galatasaray.
Yeah, but that's I feel like that's out of character for them.
I don't know. Napoli got
Most-
steamrolled by
Liverpool.
PSV Eindhoven.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think at this point, sadly, for Italian teams, I think the whole point of Champions League is just getting the money, for
Money.
those first
100%.
couple of games, and there's no realistic expectation for an Italian team to challenge. It's just about getting that money.
Yeah.
And for Roma, for the portion of it that I do want them to be in, that's all it is. Without Champions League, either Manu Kone or Milos VR is gone this summer.
Yeah.
No choice. FFP, right? So
That's the
we're at the
reality of
end.
City, yeah, right?
We're at the end of our 3-year cycle, right? So because FFP is stupid, you don't have to comply with it every year. You only have to comply with it every third year. We're at the end of our 3-year cycle, so we need to hit balance 0 at the end of this year, right? And the way
Even
it's
Como,
looking-
though.
Yeah,
Even
Como
Como's
is going to
not
have
subject-
a rude awakening.
No, they're
Next
not.
year they might be.
because they got 3 years. So they're going to be deficitary in year 1. They're going to approach UEFA. They're going to do what Roma did. Listen, give me 3 years. UEFA is going to set targets for the next 3 years. And then only in 3 years' time would that really catch up to you. In the meanwhile, you can fudge the numbers a bit up or down. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sadly, that's the state of affairs, I think, right now for Serie A. It's more about getting in and making the money than it is actually challenging for that champion.
Yeah,
that
and that's why I
Champions
was
League
so
final.
disappointed when we lost versus Man City, because I'm like, this is, again, I'm not going to speak about last year, and I told you guys, I think 2 weeks ago, that I really thought we could have won versus Man City that year. It's like, we won't see these moments, right? We might get a weird season. Maybe this year we get that spark. Bodo makes a magical run. It would be nice
At this point, I would hope.
I think everyone hopes. It's just
Yeah.
all these hipster picks, but if Bayern Munich have
It's my
no,
specialty.
but I get it. I feel you. I think we're just looking for some.
A Cinderella story, a new Leicester.
Yeah, so it feels good, right, in sports, and that's why we love sports. And if we can have those moments,
And you know
Chievo
what's
Verona.
yeah, and you know what's sad is that there's no. How does Serie A realistically climb that hill? Right, we're a long, long way from being able to compete with Premier League teams, and so are we going to see realistically an Italian team be able to challenge for the Champions League in the next 5 years? I don't think so.
It's tough to say because I don't think many people expected a couple of years ago when there was, those 2 Italian teams and 3 Italian teams in the quarters. Yeah,
'cause
that
Milan
no one
played,
really. Yeah.
Napoli, and then they played.
And then we played Inter in the semi. No one expected that. There's things that could happen. I mean,
It's a fluke
I think
year.
what helped us there was also groups. That group system is gone.
Yes, it does make a huge difference, but I don't think. I think people are overblowing the fact that Serie A is on a decline. I don't think it's a decline. I think there's been a lot of changes in coaches. Like I said before, I think the changes in coaches this year has proven very difficult for, let's say, big teams like Inter because the quality of the players are still there. You look at Di Marco. Di Marco's having an incredible season. He looks great almost every single game. You
I,
look at hang on. Let me finish this. Let me finish this thought.
yeah,
You look at their midfield. Okay, Barella's not performing to the level that he was, but you have Zielinski, you have Hakan before he got injured that was performing very well. Bisek, Akanji in defense, Bastoni in defense. These guys are all performing at extremely high levels. They're all very good players. They're all quote unquote world class players. You could argue. I would argue.
It's our
Lautaro,
benches. It's our benches.
yes,
Okay, that's the
and but
difference.
that's also a coaching thing because you look at like Palladino, you look at Kivu, you look at Tudor when he was with Juve. There's or Juric too when he was with Atalanta, and Conte especially. Conte is the biggest one that is affected by this. Is that they don't know how to manage multiple competitions. For Kivu, for Palladino, maybe a bit less Palladino, but let's say for Kivu in particular, there's a lack of experience managing multiple competitions. So you might as a coach say, okay, my player looks good at practice. I'm talking to him, he says he feels good. But in the end, if you play 2-3 games in a week, it catches up to a player even if they don't feel it in the moment. And good managers are able to manage that, right? They're able to adapt, they're able to plan games out where, okay, this game we might use this player, might take him off at a certain time. And maybe Inzaghi was a bit guilty for that because he
Inzaghi
had
played the
fixed
same player,
times.
same team. Yeah,
Yeah,
fixed
but he
times and
would
the
have
same
fixed
players every
times to
week.
take out players.
60-second minute. Di Marco's out.
But I'm saying this, I don't think Serie A teams are as bad as they seemed this year in Champions League. I do
Oh,
agree
no,
there's lacking some depth. I
that's what it
do
is.
think, yeah, and I do think that's something that we touched on even during the winter mercato. I said Milan is lacking depth in defense. You said Inter is lacking depth in defense. You said Roma is lacking depth in defense. We all said the same thing.
So it's chicken or egg because we're saying that the managers have a hard time managing multiple competitions. If I turn to look at my bench and the bench
Yeah, I agree.
Spaluccio, who am I going to throw on?
No, but it's
So
because
is it that
you
the
could.
managers aren't able to manage it, or is it that there's nothing to manage?
It's about balancing your team, right? You could bench Di Marco this week and play Carlos Augusto in that place, and then on the other side you have Dumfries, and then in the Champions you could play Di Marco with Luis Enrique. But it seems as though these managers, like Kivu, Kivu's a bit, he tried, but let's say Conte, for example, Conte doesn't do that. Conte wants his starting 11 bolted on every single game. Look at Hoyland. Hoyland this week they were winning 2-1. You could have rested him, but he's not.
You know what?
There's a need to this week though.
I understand, but still, the guy's played every single game. You could rest him a bit.
But I want to touch on something because what you're saying is true, and I think as an add-on to that, I don't know if you guys saw the interview with Calafiori recently, where he was
Yeah,
comparing
the
Italy
training.
to the training in Italy to the training in England, and he's saying between matches it's video work, recovery, massages, ice baths, maybe a very little bit of tactical. There's no two-a-days. There's no intense training
Yeah.
sessions. I think where Italian teams could stand to learn a lot is in that sort of in the physio room and in the sports science room, where the last time I saw Roma have no problems with turnover was with Mourinho, who brought his entire team with him from England, from Spain, over to Italy. And I think in implementing that sort of training regimen where it's more focused on recovery, I think that's maybe a way to bridge the gap, right? The benches are if the benches are already thin and you're running two-a-days and you're training these guys into the ground, I think that's the first thing that a lot of teams should probably look at is lightening the load in training. Is that something that could be league mandated? I don't know. And I think you had mentioned something earlier when I was going to cut you off. I was going to cut you off to agree with you for once, so
Oh, okay.
it wouldn't have been so
I should
bad.
have let you say it then.
But I feel like we're Serie A in terms of, yes, there's players who are arguably world class. There's players who, and the league in terms of entertainment value, I believe is still high.
Yes.
It's
I don't think it's
it's a
ever been higher, to be honest. If we're
There's
looking
a lot
at
of storylines. Yeah.
yeah,
it's a money thing, right? So
Mhm.
an English team will get eliminated from Champions League in the league phase, and then this summer they'll go balls to the walls and they'll go out and deepen their roster and strengthen position. An Italian team gets eliminated and there's no money there, right? We fish in ponds. These guys are deep sea fishing, right?
with
Roma
dynamite.
needs to go grab Daniel Malin off of the bench at West Ham to come to
Aston
Serie A
Villa.
and be Aston Villa and be a superstar, whereas Pep can go pick players off of Bayern. You can go pick players off of Inter. You
Yes.
can go pick players off of
100%.
Roma.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunately it's a money thing, because I think that the culture of Calcio is still strong. The fan base is still strong. It's
We still attract talent and we still grow talent.
as a stepping stone.
Not
Yes.
homegrown though.
Right now, yes.
It's a stepping stone. There's more and more. I was listening to a separate Serie A podcast in English that we won't mention.
Mike, I heard you, Mike, and I'm gonna touch on that in a second. I have thoughts on that.
where they were interviewing a scout, and I think it was a pretty low level scout, but a scout nevertheless. And he was mentioning that over the past couple of years, what he's been seeing a lot of in Serie A and in Spain specifically is targeted release clauses. So a player will sign with an Italian team or with a Spanish team with a separate release clause for the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
If a Premier League team comes calling and they offer X amount, you must accept. As long as they reach that valuation, you have to accept. And that just goes to show that, yes, players will come to Italy. Yes, players will go to Spain, but it's always with one eye towards England, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean,
They get there and they're depressed.
Yeah, exactly, and then they want to come back.
Yeah.
No, I mean, well, the targeted release clause, we saw it already with Lookman, who had a targeted release clause where Serie A was higher because they didn't want to sell in Serie A. Now he's at Atletico and he's killing it. But what I wanted to say, Mike, you mentioned we're lacking homegrown players. I'm going to disagree there. Let's look at this
Not
year.
lacking. They're yeah, okay. I go.
Let's look at this year. Just from the top teams. Okay? Top teams plus one, because I want to mention my golden boy. Top teams, Inter. Esposito, 20 years old. Playing a lot, scoring, playing very well. Sheltered mostly by the team, especially at the beginning when he was maybe struggling a bit to adapt. And now he's adapted very well. And honestly, with Lautaro out, he's your best striker. You look at Milan, Partizaghi. Again, 19 years old, taking the starting spot from Estupinian. Milan with Partizaghi is a completely different team to Milan without Partizaghi. He takes dead balls. He takes all the dead balls that have to do with left-footed player. It's him or Modric. That's big for a player at 19 years old and his first full season with a team. Then you look at Napoli, Vergara this season. Okay, he's a bit older, but we could consider him a young player because he is, in the end, a young player. But he broke through. He had a very good run. Now he's injured, and it seems like he's out for a bit of time. But even then, he broke through because of injury. But still, after he started gaining momentum, it's not like Conte pinned him to the bench. He was still playing. When Politano came back, when he was still playing. Como, forget it. I mean, Juve is probably the one that's lacking a young Italian player, right? Roma, Pizzilli. For me, Pizzilli, Ghilardi too. Those are two players. Ghilardi had a rough week this week. Most of Roma did, but they've been both young players have been performing. And Pizzilli, we saw his talent before. This year it took time with Gasperini to get him into the system and get him to a point where Gasperini felt confident playing him. And then you have Atalanta, who has Ahanor and Bernasconi, two very
Scalvini,
young.
who's still pretty
Scalvini
young.
too, yeah. But I'm saying two very young players, and it's their
Atalanta's
first
always
year.
Yeah.
Atalanta is kind of like the golden child when it comes to playing youth, because then you even have Palestra, who's theirs, and that's my golden boy.
Listen, the only the only player on that list that I could say deserves, or not even a starting spot, but is Pio. Like the
with
other,
the
okay,
national team, you're saying, or Inter in specific,
Ad Inter, let's say, okay, not even a starting spot. The
Partizani.
rest, okay, but why did he start playing? Why did these
No,
players start
yes.
playing?
Well,
Vergara. This the
okay.
point being is that no one's gonna go try to get no one's trying to go develop young Italian talent and bringing them onto their teams because they want them. It's out of necessity, especially this season, that these players all came to be, right? Like we would never hear about Vergara this year. Never.
No,
If
that's
Napoli
fair.
didn't get played by
But
injuries.
we are hearing about their guy on loan in Bari, Rao. I don't know if you guys have been following Serie B. He's been scoring nonstop.
But that's all. But that's it's always that. It's look
No,
at
I
my
understand
player
he's
on
on
loan at
loan.
set
Yes,
team.
yes, yes.
Look at
I
this player on
understand, but
loan
that's
at
how
set team
Pio that's what Pio was
in
doing.
Serie B.
But that's what Pio
Okay,
was doing
not in.
too. It
But,
could work out.
but why is it not on loan in Serie A? Why is
I
it on loan
agree,
in Serie B?
but then
I
you
don't.
look at a player like Kamada who's on loan at Serie A and he's not gaining places because Serie A has this high pressure system where they don't want to wait for these players. And you're playing with Lecce is not the
It's
same as
I
playing
know,
with
but
a
you're
team
proving
that
my point
attacks.
too with that pointer. But you're proving my point also. Again, these players came out of necessity for the teams, like
Mhm.
out of not sheer luck, but sometimes you need a little bit of luck in anything that we do, right? And winning
Yeah,
and but
apart. Let's say apart from Atalanta because they're the exception to the rule.
yeah,
And it goes back to something that Allegri was saying in a press conference, I think before the year started or early on this season. Over the past 5 years, Italy's greatest export in calcio, in football, in world football, isn't players, it's managers.
Hmm.
And I think that a lot of the emphasis for a lot of these managers, you look at, whether it be someone like Conte or Kivu, who's not Italian, but he's in the Italian system, or even De Zerbi before that when he was in Italy, um, or Farioli. There's managers putting their futures before the futures of the teams and of the players. It's not in the manager's best interest to bleed in
Yes.
youth players. It's in
Yeah.
their best interest to win games.
100%, and it's wrong. I think there has to be a solid balance, right? But even then, it's also the stubbornness of, let's say, the national team, the politics and all of it, and not calling up players that are playing outside of Italy. Look at
let,
Coyote.
let, let's just say let's pause here because we're gonna have a nice discussion next week because we're 10 days away from a very
Oh my
crucial
God!
Italian
Don't
game.
tell me.
I know I got nervous today thinking about it. I have tickets. I have tickets to go watch them if they don't fucking make. Anyways, better story.
Okay.
So,
Okay. We'll stop
sorry.
here. We'll stop here. No,
Yeah,
because
let's.
I was gonna bring up players like Coyote, like Calafiori that are playing outside of Italy, Tonali too playing outside of Italy, Indoor
Everything.
before was playing outside of Italy. There are talented young Italian players playing outside of Italy.
Just
Coyote
now
is
they're
probably the
starting
one.
to go outside of Italy to
Yeah,
find
yeah,
a spot,
exactly. But
right?
it's also like these teams are going and pick them from our youth systems and developing them, or picking them up from Fiorentina chose to release Coyote because they were able to make money off him at a young age, and they had Dodo already.
That's the
And
problem. It's
I
we'd
agree.
rather make a buck than, anyways.
It's the margins too, right? They
Yeah,
paid him zero, so selling him at 20 is 100% profit. Plus Valenza.
yeah. Plus Valenza. That's it. You are the masters at that, to be honest. But well, listen. Let's. We went pretty long. We had a great discussion.
We have Calcio Scommesse to do.
Yeah. So you're in the lead right now, right? What's the ranking? You, Joe, and me.
No, I believe I'm
No.
currently
Yeah,
last.
you guys both
Okay.
lost this week because I didn't make your picks. And so
Well, you've never made mine, but I mean,
no, but maybe I should
You
start.
made one pick for me.
I made two picks for you.
That was my. Go back and
We
listen to
wouldn't
that
know. We
episode.
wouldn't know.
We
Hindsight is
have it.
2020.
yeah,
I was baiting you into making that pick. But yeah, so I'm in the lead with since
So
Atalanta
you
was
pick
able to get
first.
that goal. I pick first. No, I pick last because I'm in the lead.
No, it's first. That works.
I don't even know the games next week. Hang on a second. Let's see the games next week. Matches. So, sorry, I'm at the wrong place. The beauty of live.
I think
Ooh, Cagliari Napoli, juicy. Milan Torino, Bologna Lazio. Fiorentina
yeah.
Inter is interesting too. Joe, you have your
Yeah.
pick already?
He's gonna go
I'm
with Roma
hesitating.
plus 1.5.
No. I'm hesitating between two just to put you in my frame of mind. I'm looking at either Juve Sassuolo, both teams to score. Sassuolo's looked good on offense lately. Or Napoli team total over 1.5. I think I'll go with Napoli team total over 1.5. So Napoli to get at least 2 goals.
The classic Joe bet. Team total
Yeah.
over 1.5. I'm gonna go with Bologna. Oh no, I can't. Oh man, this is tough. There's some tough games here.
This week is not easy.
No, because it's a lot of smaller teams playing each other.
But you're in the lead, so I mean you can
I
always
know I
just
could
go
play
with
simple. I
something.
could play safe.
Yeah.
But do I want to play safe? That's the question. Or I could really just stretch out a win. You know what? I'm gonna take Lazio to beat Bologna.
Dude, that was my fucking pick, man. Fuck off, dude. Literally.
You
that was
see,
like-
you wanted him to go
me to
first.
Shafted myself. Okay.
Shafted.
Shafted. Give me a Milan over Torino.
Oh, simple.
Simple.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. We'll never know.
You never know.
No, but I mean,
if you want to really up your bet, you say Milan over 1.5.
No, Milan. Give me Milan over Torino. Milan's at home.
Okay.
Torino's been playing decent. They're not. They've been good. They've been playing well. So, but yeah, juicy week next week, and that's it, boys. Anything else? Any last words? Any last remarks?
I just want to say Fiorentina 1-4-1. A very important game for relegation, and they play Inter next week. And if they want to be safe, a nice win against Inter is going to be nice.
even a draw would go a long way. Those are like bonus points.
100%.
You know, but heating up. 3 wins in their last 5 matches, Fiorentina. So, yeah. Enjoy the weekend, guys. Enjoy the Calcio. Forza Roma in Europa League.
Forza Atalanta in Champions League. Hopefully they don't concede another 6.
I hope he rotates Palladino and just plays like throw on your youth players. I don't know.
Yeah, get them some experience. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, guys.
We'll be back next week. Next week, tune in. We're gonna be talking about Italy, right?
Yeah. Well, we've been teasing at it for weeks. We'll dedicate a good chunk of the show to that, I think.
It's gonna be just full of anxiety.
Yeah.
Are we gonna have the official call-ups before? We'll see.
I'm fairly certain we will.
I think they're probably gonna be done this weekend. Yeah.
This week, yeah. I think this week Gattuso was at all the games. I think. He was at a few games. Just trying to. We'll see. Fun times. Okay.
All right, guys.
Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao.